There are approximately 4 bazillion gaming laptops that you can buy right now, and in my opinion, this is the best all-rounder. So to start this review, let's determine what we need in a gaming laptop. So for these purposes, I'm talking the essentials for gaming without overspending on things that we don't necessarily need. So right now, that is going to entail a Core i7-7700, which is perfect for most gaming. 16 gigs of RAM, because 8 gigabytes is starting to feel just a little light, especially if we want to get some more years out of this thing. As far as storage, we want either a 128 or 256 gigabyte SSD, paired with some sort of a mechanical drive for game storage. So graphics and display, this could spark some debate, but in my opinion, I think a 15 or 17 inch screen is the best size, and at that size, I think 1080p paired with a GTX 1060 is the best bet. A 1070 would be nice, but that would be a little bit overkill on a 1080p screen. Also, if we wanted to get a 1080p screen with like a 120 Hz refresh rate, if you pair that with a 1070, which you'd need to make use of that refresh rate, our budget is kind of a little bit too high. And a 4K screen is an unnecessary expense that you can't see as much visually because it's a smaller screen, and would require something like a 1080 if we wanted to even get close to pushing games out on it. So with that in mind, I set out to find a computer that matches this combo. i7, 16 gigs, 1060, 1080p, 128 gigabyte SSD, plus 1 terabyte mechanical. I combed through page after page after page on Amazon until I found the Asus GL702VM. This is a 17-inch thin and light gaming laptop packing an i7-7700HQ, 16 gigs of RAM, a 128 gigabyte SSD, and a 1 terabyte mechanical hard drive for storing games. It also has a 6 gig 1060 and a 75 Hz 1080p display. What made this particular laptop stand out was that 75 Hz display, which also includes G-Sync, a really nice feature on a laptop costing only around $1,400 depending on how you spec it. This particular laptop is the 17-inch big brother to the smaller GL502VM, which I liked, but I thought the 17-inch display could be a really cool experience, especially coming from 15-inch gaming laptops. But wait, you say, a 17-inch display is huge. This laptop must weigh a ton. Well, because of the smaller bezels, the 702 is only marginally larger than its little brother, weighing only a tad over 6 pounds and is just under 1 inch thick. Not so bad for a 17-inch laptop. The build is what I would call adequate. With these specs at this price, I really can't knock it for being mostly plastic, except for the rather smudge-attractive metal top lid. The plastics feel like they are of decent quality, however, and are more than fine for the price. I really like the chiclet keyboard on this model. It feels clicky and not too spongy, and there's not too much deck flex. The trackpad is also a strong point, which is one of the best Windows trackpads I've used. It's smooth and silky while not being too small. The screen is bright and crisp, and that G-Sync panel really adds a quality feel to the laptop and makes games feel buttery smooth. However, because of this great display and powerful internals, battery life is really not the strong suit of this laptop. I found that it only pulls around 3 hours of normal non-gaming use. This is mostly because the laptop lacks Optimus, an NVIDIA technology which allows the laptop to switch between the integrated and the discrete graphics card, similar to what MacBook Pros can do, but it works on Windows. So I tested out a couple games. I tested Battlefield 1, Grand Theft Auto 5, and Tomb Raider, and I was impressed by the performance on all three. Battlefield 1 on high settings ran a buttery 60 to 70 FPS, which is really nice when playing an FPS where you really can use those extra frames. GTA was glued at 75 frames per second at Ultra, which was really nice to play on. And Tomb Raider pushed about 60 at high settings. I found this game I thought was the most difficult to run, and I had to turn settings down a little bit to hit that 60 FPS mark. But keep in mind, these are all AAA games, and they all ran really great on this laptop. However, while running these tests, the top of the keyboard deck right near the screen did become a bit warm, a little bit uncomfortably so. This is a little bit surprising to me because the laptop advertises its thermal solution as being very excellent. It actually has 3 cooling fans. It has one for the CPU, one for the GPU, and then like a turbo boost fan that's supposed to help out a little bit. Doesn't seem like that really does that much, and the laptop does get pretty warm under stress. Now, I mentioned this as a side note because almost all gaming laptops run too hot in my opinion, and manufacturers should really invest some money into thermal architecture that improves this. That being said, this isn't a very high-end laptop, and I can see how they may have had to devote their time and resources to other places to keep the cost down. With all of that in mind, the bang for buck level of this laptop is really high. And while you have to make sacrifices to build quality and battery life to get this kind of hardware at this price point, I think the 702 pulls it off quite nicely. So the GL702VM, an all-around laptop that puts the money where it matters. We get a great set of hardware wrapped in a nice thin chassis that doesn't overspend on RGB, 1070s, or 4K displays, and focuses on the qualities that you really need for a good, essential, all-round gaming laptop. I should point out that you can actually spec this up to having a GTX 1070 for around $1,600. So if that's something you feel you could use, that is an option, but I personally think that the 17-inch with the 1060 is the best way to go for around $1,400 bucks.